Hey guys, it's stage and clinical hypnotist Jaden Boone here. And guys, one of the biggest questions that I get asked all the time is, what got me into hypnosis? So in today's video, let me share with you the story on what's brought me to where I am today. So it was roughly around 2011, 2012, I went to my very first ever stage hypnosis show. Now, I went along, I saw the show, and I walked out of there, and I was a total skeptic. I still 100% didn't believe it. You know, whether, they're stooges, actors, whether something's been organised prior to the show. I just genuinely had no idea, and I truly was a skeptic. I was still a non-believer after that show. Now, funnily enough, there was another hypnotist coming to town, and I thought, what the hell, it was still funny regardless. Let's go along. So I went along to that show, and same thing, I still walked out of that show going, there is no way those people can be up there doing all these crazy, silly things. There's no way someone can just go sleep, click their fingers, and all those people can just drop their heads down and go into that sleep-like state. I just couldn't wrap my head around it. And I guess when you don't really know what it is, or, you don't really understand what's going on behind it all, to the general public and to some of those people, it can 100% come across as fake, or like they're stooges, or like they're actors. Now, as someone who's now up there doing these shows, I can genuinely tell you it's absolutely not. Every single person who comes up and volunteers my show is 100% random. People always message me before a show and go, how do I be part of the show? And I go, all you need to do is simply volunteer at the time that I ask for volunteers. But let's go back to the story. So then I was in a relationship with my partner, and together we went along and saw another show. So this was my third hypnosis show. And when we got there, she went, you know what, I'm going to volunteer to go up. And I went, you're going to go up there and get hypnotized? And she goes, yeah, I'm going to go up. And I went, no way. All right. Sure, go on. And up she went. And lo and behold, she got hypnotized and stayed up there for the total duration of the show. Now, I just couldn't believe the things that these people were doing. It's just absolutely mind-blowing and so hilarious when it's someone that you know wouldn't just be playing along or just acting it for the sake of acting it, but they're having a genuine, real experience. Now, she get off the stage and, like most people do, you have 100 questions. What was it like? What did you notice? What did it feel like? Blah, blah, blah. And in that moment, I turned from skeptic to believer. Something inside me shifted and changed, and I went, oh my God, it's real. I just couldn't believe it. And I looked her dead in the face and I said, I'm going to learn this one day. And I guess at that moment, that was the point where I guess the seed had been planted, and I was like, you know what, maybe there's more to this. But then a few years go by. I think it was roughly 6 years between, me saying that and me actually doing something. But in that time, that relationship actually broke down, and I became very, very depressed. I was anxious. I was suicidal. I was seeing a psychologist. I was very, very depressed and miserable. I had no self-esteem, no self-confidence. I used to say all these nasty, horrible things to myself and put myself down, and I was just genuinely in a shit, horrible place. And, my best mate at the time, Ziggy, I was going to him every single day for a year after that relationship broke down, and did the woe is me, poor me, poor me. And I was just basically crying out every single day for help. And I rang him every single day of my life, suicidal. And some of these things are hard to talk about, to remember that I was actually in that place. And, he kept me going for that year. And then, a year later, he passed away. And in that moment, I hit absolutely rock bottom. And, it was like the two people that meant the most to me. I lost them within a year of each other. And I hit total rock bottom. I became even more depressed and more suicidal. And, I was basically just smoking myself to death. And, I didn't see there was a way out. I guess I didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I guess I felt hopeless and lost, and I didn't think that there was going to be a way out. But cut a long story short, a few years pass, and I was like, that hypnosis thing. That hypnosis thing, maybe there is something in that. And that hypnotist put up a post on Facebook, the same hypnotist that hypnotized her, putting up a post saying, I'm going to help people stop smoking. And I went, you know what? I'm at the point where I'm tired of living in this misery, this sadness, this hurt, this pain, and literally killing myself with smoking. It's like you truly don't respect yourself or love yourself enough if you're going to do that to yourself. And I just had enough of my own bullshit and being in this place of spending the money and, the health ramifications that come with being a smoker. So I thought, what the hell, I had already known that it was real because of the previous other experience. So I thought, why not? What have I got to lose? So I paid the money and went along, and I walked out of there after a few short hours, and I thought, surely it couldn't be that easy. Like no, can't, really. And it truly was. In that moment I decided that this is it. This is the start. This is the point where you put your foot down and you say no more. You're not going to take any more of that shit. And the first step was stopping smoking. And I threw my cigarettes away then and there, and I went, that's it. I'm done. And that was roughly around the start of 2018. Then that same year, I did my very first ever 3-day clinical hypnosis certification. Because I went, you know what, I really do want to learn this. I want to understand what's really going on, behind the scenes or behind the surface, and see what this stuff really is all about and how it works. And I became very, very fascinated with it. And to the point I'm actually a little obsessed with hypnosis. So that was in 2018 that I did my certification for clinical hypnotherapy. Then that same year, 2018, I also did my very first ever stage hypnosis training. So that was pretty exciting and, a massive step forward. And I guess during that process, I still, under the surface was depressed and miserable and anxious. And I guess, it's like with anything, you keep researching and you keep digging and you keep looking. And, it's like one thing leads to another. Then in 2018, I was looking at doing more hypnosis trainings, and there was an amazing gentleman, and I did 3 certifications under his training, and he was offering the breakthrough weekend. Now I went along to that weekend, and I think there was 20 of us or 21 of us, and that weekend absolutely drastically changed my life. Massively. In that weekend, I was able to let go of depression, the sadness, the hurt, the pain, the grief, and like most people describe it, that weight and that burden like you feel like you're carrying around on your shoulders. And I walked out of there and I just felt like a totally, totally different person, and a lot of people describe it, that it's almost like a numb feeling, but it's not that you're numb, it's that you finally have silence or quietness or peace inside your own mind. And, I couldn't believe how much changed in such a short little period of time. Considering that I was seeing a psychologist and, I hear people say all the time that I've been talking about my problems for years and I feel like I'm getting nowhere. It's like talking about your problems for years really is getting you nowhere, because it's like what you think the problem is and what the problem really is are two completely different things, and there's a lot more going on under the surface than most people even realise. Now, I was in that moment where I was like, you know what? And I never got into this hypnosis stuff to help people. I got into this because I wanted to be the stage stage hypnotist. I wanted to be the showman. I wanted to be up there doing these crazy, silly things to people. But it's like what hypnosis did for me and the way that it changed my life and how much it helped me. I'm like, I want to give that back to other people. I want to help people that, have been to a psychologist and they found it hasn't helpful, or they've been going there for years and years on end. Because like I say to people, and I bang on about this all the time, change happens in the click of a fingers. Change happens instantly. Change doesn't take a long time. People say to me all the time, it took me 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years to change. It's like, no, it didn't. It just took you that long to get out of your own way and stop making excuses. But the change happened in a moment. The change happened in a split second. And I became so passionate about it. Helping people in a place of where I was, feeling miserable, depressed, and like there's no hope, like there was no way out. I really wanted to be able to help those people because it's like that's what I went through myself. And, for a few years, that's what I was actually doing before I do stage hypnosis. I'll go into that in a sec. But yeah, I was actually doing, the clinical side of things. I was doing therapy and helping people make all these crazy changes. And, like I demonstrate to them how quickly and easy it is for us to make a change when we want to make a change. And then, yeah, so it got to the point of doing stage hypnosis. So I did my training 2019. And then I guess it was getting to the pointy end. I guess I still felt like I didn't really have the confidence, or I wasn't ready to go out and do my first show. But I got pushed and pushed and pushed. And I finally got to a point where I'm like, you know what, I've just got to bite the bullet. I've just got to do it. If it's not now, it'll be never. Because, as human beings, it's so easy to talk ourselves out of things. And yeah, so I booked my first show and I started selling tickets. And then I guess we had that crazy, interesting time where it's like that thing, COVID came along. So COVID came along and sat me on the sideline for 12 months. Which, to me, I was very, very lucky in a sense. It was a blessing in disguise. It meant that I could spend more time rehearsing and practicing. And, I was bringing people to the house and sitting them on my couch and literally practicing and going over my show with different people off the internet to really prove to myself that I could do it. And yeah, it gave me that time to practice and I guess to master the craft. And I guess finally have the confidence that when I go out there and do my first show that all will be okay and I'll be able to do it. So yeah, it finally got to 2021 after all that other business disappeared. And yeah, I went out and did my very first show in 2021. Now, tickets sold like crazy for that show, and it was absolutely a fantastic night. It was a lot of fun, and I guess that was the moment that I got hooked. That was the moment where I'm like, you know what, this is what I want to do. Seeing the laughter, the fun, and also, just being able to help people have those experiences, but also educating the audience at the same time on what's capable and how powerful hypnosis truly, truly is. It's like everything led to another. Like I say to people, I never wanted to smoke. I never wanted to be depressed. I never wanted that relationship to break down. I never wanted my best mate to pass away. But it's like without all those things happening to me, without all those experiences, it wouldn't have led me down this path. It wouldn't have led me to the journey that I'm on. And, having all those experiences, it allows me to help people in a different way because it's like I've been on both sides of it. I know what it's like to feel stuck and trapped and consumed by your own thoughts and not having a way out. And then also falling and stumbling and coming across hypnosis to then using it to help other people that are in the same situation. And yeah, it makes you feel good. It does. It truly makes you feel good, and it's amazing to be able to help people. to show people what's possible and inspire people and educate people on what's possible, and that if you are in a place of feeling stuck, it's like you don't have to be there. Change is possible, and change can happen quicker and easier than most people could ever imagine. So fast forward to this very moment in time where here we are in 2025. What is it? The 2nd of the 5th, 2025 at the time I'm recording this video. And I've done 61 shows to date. And, hypnosis has, like I said, absolutely changed my life. It's allowed me to travel the world. I'm off to Vegas again. I went last year for the world's largest hypnosis conference. And it's just an absolutely fantastic time where you can meet, 1,000 other hypnotists and just hang out and have fun and learn and, adapt your skills and learn better tools and techniques to help people change even more rapidly. And like I said, it's consumed my entire life. I'm so passionate about it. I love helping people. What it's done for me, like I said, I had no confidence, no self-esteem. I used to get in my head like most people do and say all these nasty, horrible, negative things to myself. And, before I was doing hypnosis, I worked as a tire fitter. I did that for 13 years. And I just thought, this was my life. I didn't think that there was going to be any better. And I just thought, I'm just going to be in this place of staying in a shit job and just going through the motions of life. But like I say to people, life really is what you make it. And if you want better for yourself, you actually have to make the decision, the choice to go out and either get the help or, read a book or listen to a podcast and do whatever it is to change your mindset and your perspective, because, these are the very things that'll set you free. And, I'm so glad that, I had the courage to make the change and it's put me on the path of where I am today, where, I get to have the most amount of fun. I've got a party trick everywhere I go, but also a demonstration on how powerful the human mind is and how powerful hypnosis is. So yeah, that's just a short story, a condensed version of what's brought me to this moment in time. But basically, I just share that with you to, I guess, inspire other people to do better, to think better. And, if you are struggling, get the help that you need, There is someone out there that will be able to help you if you're ready to make those changes. And, I'll leave it there, but I hope you took something away from this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll speak with you guys very, very soon.